Can we addressed recently, we were informed how the Rebbe encouraged women to seduce their husbands. Through the stories of women in Mitzrayim, collecting fish and going to the apple orchards, possibly found in Chelik Vav and Chelik Chavav of Kisis and Pekudei. It also mentions it directly in Medrash Tanchuma. Can you elaborate that more, or perhaps in more detail as to what the Rebbe was teaching us? If you know the story, the men in Mitzrayim were really not interested in intimacy. Either because they were totally exhausted and tired, or because they were afraid that if a baby is born, the baby will be killed. So they were turned off to intimacy. So the women had to do something to correct that. That's understandable. If your husband is not interested, then you got to do something. We're talking about young couples who have no reason not to be interested in each other, and already we're trying to do things to get them interested. It's fixing something that isn't broken. Of course, if a relationship is broken, of course you got to do something. And then once you do that something, and the relationship is back, get rid of that thing. Don't let it become the main focus. That was just to get your attention. Now let's go back to being really intimate.
So what's the whole idea, like a woman dressing up, or her husband coming home, looks nice? Is there that idea?
Yes, yes. But that's until you get to the bedroom. So again, things are important in every other room in the house and in every other part of your life. But when it comes to intimacy, intimacy means us. Us. To the exclusion of everything. And if we can't do that, then we're not really having intimacy, we're just doing another thing. It's just another activity. And the result is, I said before, the result is you do all things right and you feel alone. You feel alone, you feel disconnected. And that's a horrible feeling. You're being intimate with someone who you feel disconnected with. That's painful. How does that happen? Because things become too important, things get in the way.
So you're saying the only place where there should be no things is in the bedroom? There are other places it's fine to have things? I thought the idea is to bring that idea like into every aspect of our lives.
Well, even in those areas where you have things, they're never more important than him. But there's a place for it. Those things should never become the purpose or the center of the relationship. So it's almost like saying all the other rooms in the house are necessary for the bedroom, but the bedroom is the center. And that's why if everything is good in the bedroom, all other problems you can handle. When things are not good in the bedroom, they're not good anywhere. If the only time we're really one is at the time of intimacy, that's when we are back to our true natural state. Why is the moment of intimacy so short-lived and so fleeting? So why is the actual physical oneness so short? I don't know how short. A fleeting moment, I think, is a bit of an exaggeration. In the bedroom, it's not just the moment of intimacy, it's the whole mood. In the bedroom, There are no things. So one of the worst things you can do is have a desk in the bedroom. With a computer and do some last minute work on your business. Not in the bedroom. It's terrible. Even if you don't use it, just having it there is terrible. And in the bedroom, you should feel an exclusive, private place where in the bedroom there's just us. Even before you become physically intimate. Of course, the physical intimacy is the intense oneness. And this oneness, even though it's our true nature, is very hard to maintain. Because there are so many things that pull us, that draw our attention. So if we can be completely and totally one, even for 20 minutes, that's powerful. I mean, you can compare it to davening. Davening is a oneness. We don't daven all day. Even tzaddikim don't daven all day. But those moments of the davening are very powerful. Can there be unsneezed touch? How do you take away distracting thoughts during intimacy? That is the crux of the issue. How do you get rid of distracting thoughts ever? Every time you try to concentrate, you're flooded with other thoughts. It's like saying, don't think about anything else, which makes you think about everything else. Is there an unsneezed touch? Of course. Any activity that is impersonal is unsneezed. So if the touch is its own purpose, then it's not sneezed. Again, it becomes a thing. So it's not who, it's what. What is not sneezed. As long as you're focused on the who, then it's holy. As soon as it becomes a what. So if you think about it, a kala comes and says, are we allowed to do this? Are we allowed to do that? You're allowed to do this and that. It has nothing to do with intimacy. Yes, you're allowed to do this. You're allowed to eat ice cream. What, so that's going to make your intimacy better? You're allowed to do many things. The question is, how do we get to intimacy? So when people say, well, what's wrong with it? It's not what's wrong. It's how do you get to intimacy? And unfortunately, very sadly, there are couples who enjoy doing all sorts of things. They don't really want to be intimate. They don't enjoy that. They enjoy many things, but real intimacy, physical, they're not really interested. How did that happen? How did something replace intimacy? It's very easy. Things are easier than intimacy. It's much easier to do something than to become one with another person. So, for example, without getting too graphic, there are people who ask, what positions do you have to, are other positions kosher? What's the difference between the right position and other positions? The difference is whether it's intimate or non-intimate, whether it's personal or impersonal. If you're not facing each other, it's less personal. And for people who have a hard time being personal, they'd rather not face each other. Because then they can just do their thing without getting personal, without it being intimate. So that replaces the intimacy. It's a very, very common problem.
So then what?
So then there is such a thing as a non-sneeze touch. Because that becomes your thing. It's all about what you can touch and how you can touch. You're forgetting who you're with. It's not about the person anymore. Now it's about something. And is that thing okay? Yeah, the thing is okay. But how are you going to get to the intimacy?
Why is it conflict? Why is it making someone happy by touching them? It's conflict with the intimacy that is both.
You could have both, but you got to be careful.
What is it that is being the obstruction to the other thing? What about it makes it unsneeze that it's not? Something that's congruous.
Unsneeze means impersonal. It's not about you. It's not about you.
If it makes someone happy, why is that not about them?
If it makes you happy, and that's what your husband is intending, it's to make you happy, that would be nice. But maybe it's not to make you happy. He just likes doing it. It's not about you at all.
And what's the problem with that?
The problem with that is that you're going to end up feeling alone or used. You become an object, not a
Can
person.
they coexist?
They could theoretically, but it's very risky. When you introduce things, the thing can become more important than him or her. And it often does. And yet every magazine, every advice column, every talk show, they're all advising you to get more into things. And that's why marriage is a joke today. Marriage is not about two people. Marriage is about what you can get, this or that. And if you don't like this or you don't need this, you get divorced. It's very sad.